Peace. I'd like to welcome you back into another edition of the File Player. As always, the File Player and whatever the fuck. Um, wanted to do a show review, and I like doing show reviews because I don't watch that much TV, like, or I don't get the chance to. Um, and a lot of times, if I do get to watch it, like, a show has like 20 minutes to entice me. But if it's a real piece of shit show, I'll keep watching it just because I like watching like piece of shit stuff. Like if I invested more than 10 minutes into it, and I just happened to run into a show of that ilk, and it was a show called "Confronting a Serial Killer," and this is on the Stars Network, premium cable, which I don't pay for. But and the description of the show, I'll read it verbatim, and it says author and journalist Gillian Lauren uncovers Sam Little's darkest secrets and aids law enforcement in solving several cold cases. Gillian Lauren races to identify Little's victims. Naturally, this is about Sam Little, a renowned serial killer. I think he was based out of LA at one point, moved around the country. And I honestly started watching the show because I thought it was regarding this different serial killer from Cleveland or Cincinnati. It was a black dude that was like burying broads in his basement, and it stunk. And I thought it was about that. But then I started watching this show, and this show is abject garbage. Like this bitch is like talking about herself. Mind you, she's covering a serial killer, and I'm not gonna front. Like I was watching the show, like there was like 3 episodes or 2 episodes that were available, and I watched the first one with my wife, and I was like laying on her lap, and we were dissing the show the whole time. But she's apparently like and I'm talking out of not knowing like what the gist or how deep Sam Little's killings go, because the whole first episode of the show, this bitch is talking about herself. Like, and she's like, oh, that she was an author her whole life, and there was like no body count on this Sam Little dude, like because like she's talking about her own husband, about her adopted kids, like just bigging up herself, like showing her yuppie ass life. It's like full of silicone her face, like fucking it's just very. I mean, even though I don't live around yups like that any longer, or except when I go into New York, but just rekindled my hate for yuppies. Like like they're always somehow reverting the conversation right back to their favorite subject, which is themselves. Um, Clearly out of touch. They just want to big up every little thing that they do, and you had a lot of that in this show. Apparently she's married to the bassist from Weezer, and of course she mentioned that too. And he had some camera time on the show. In addition to their two um, adopted black kids or showpieces in their eyes, because like a lot of yuppies are always talking about how much of a benefit they are to the planet, and she's wasted no time in covering that aspect of her and her husband's life. But it was stupid, and and I fell asleep at the end of the first episode because it was mostly talk about her, and I woke up in the middle or somewhere during the second episode, and like I was laying on my wife's lap, and I woke up, and I was like, "Is this bitch still talking about herself?" Because like I woke up to her talking about herself, and my wife fell asleep too, and she was like, "Can't believe this lady." Like so it's a no go for me. It shows looks crappy. I watched it because I actually watched a decent show on HBO. I mean, again, it's also 2 episodes deep, called The Mayor of Easton. Um, that show was actually okay. It's with the bitch from Titanic, and I mean, people don't believe me when I say this, but I've never watched Titanic in my whole life. Um, a lot of movies I never watched. that are really popular. Like the movie Alien. Like I never watched the movie Alien. Never watched Terminator One in its entirety. What else I ain't watch? There's a bunch of shit I ain't watch. None of the Marvel movies for the most part. Never watched any Iron Man movie. I watched the second part of that Infinity Gauntlet Marvel shit, but I watched the Spider Man movies like because of my son. But for the most part, if it's a popular movie, I ain't fucking with it. Um, but um, the show Mayor Easttown, it stars I think her name is, I don't know what her name is, but she was in Titanic though. She's a little bit washed, but she still looks pretty. Um, but that show thus far is pretty good. And the only reason I'm mentioning that show, because I don't cover good shows for the most part, is because I was thinking, like, being that I watched a show that had something to do with like murder or with someone dying in the mayor of Easttown, that I was gonna roll that into a good serial killer show about what seemed to be one of the illest serial killers that ever walked the North America. But I got injected with a dose about this bitch. Let me see her name, Julian Lauren, like talking about herself. But let me know what you guys think, and if I have any advice to give you, don't watch this crap. Peace.